You did what?
Okay, go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're on? We're good? Okay. And we'll start with a roll call. McKee here. Lanterman. Here. Friedrich.
Here.
Behrenkamp.
Here.
Nichols. Here. All right. You'd stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. On to agenda approval. Staff, it looks like there's an addition of 4A, 4I, 4A, 6I, 6J, and 8B. Is there anything else?
And then 9A was updated.
9A updated. Anything else?
That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Anything from council? Okay, then I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. On to presentations, and who's going to be?
So Mayor and Council, I am happy to introduce Mr. Scott Gerard from Community Perceptions. He is in Wisconsin, and he will brief us on the community survey and the work that staff's been doing, the survey that should be going out regarding the Civic Campus to try and get feedback from our residents. Scott, it's all yours.
Thanks so much for the introduction, and thank you all for having me. I am sharing my screen as quickly as possible because otherwise I'm staring at myself right now, and that never feels good on Zoom. All right, is that coming through for you all?
We're trying to turn it up a little more.
Say something more, Scott. We're having trouble hearing you.
All right, how is this?
Turn it up a little.
It's not his side, it's our side.
Is that any better? Dreary
Somebody else
weather
needs
today
to
in
do
Madison.
Try one more time. Try the dais. Turn the dais.
Go all the way. Yep.
Try one more time, Scott.
All right, how are we doing tonight? Am I coming through any louder yet?
It's not great, but I think it's...
I can hear,
Would-
okay.
If I talk louder, does that help at this volume?
It does. Your louder
Okay.
voice is helpful.
I'll do my best to maintain a loud volume. It always feels weird when I'm in my own office, but I'll try to keep it in mind as I go through. Thank you all very much for having me. Appreciate the time tonight for the survey. So what I'm going to show you here is a 4-page survey. Our surveys are always 4 or 8 pages. 4 is better when we can do it because it means more folks are likely to respond. Response rates are noticeably higher. Our average rate is higher with 4 pages over 8, so we were happy to be able to do that here. The survey will be mailed to every residence in your city, and so everyone will have the opportunity to take it. And as you'll see on the front page as we scroll down a little bit, folks can get additional surveys if they have multiple members of the household or things like that if needed, but we send 1 per residence and find that that is reliable for the outcomes on the back end. So what I want to do is walk you through sort of the narrative of the survey, the information that is shared with your community and survey takers, and ultimately, most importantly, the questions that you are asking them and the data, therefore, that you'll get back. We do view the survey as serving 2 purposes. One is as an information vehicle. We often talk about it as a 2-way newsletter because it provides information to your community and provides information back to you all as decision makers. So, with that in mind, the opening letter here on the front page, we're trying to really give a big picture view of the challenge and what it is folks will read about as they continue to navigate the survey. So, we explain that the population has grown quickly over the past decade and is projected to continue to grow. This says I'm proud because this opening letter is ultimately signed by the mayor, so just so you understand why that's worded that way. But the mayor acknowledges pride in continuing to be a desirable destination. But the growth also creates demand for public services. The City Hall and Police Department building is out of space and needs significant maintenance. We explain that the current building cannot feasibly be expanded, and that since 2018, the city has projected the construction of a new facility in its 2027 long-range financial plan. To take this step as a city, we need your feedback through this community-wide survey. So again, we've outlined sort of big picture what the problem is and what folks are being asked to respond to. We explain that responses will be collected by Community Perceptions, an independent third party, so they know that it's not, the city going through every response. Underneath that letter, we have this box that explains how folks can take the survey. So they can go to this website, and once there, every survey in this blank spot will have a unique individual access code. And what that ensures, they can type that code in, it will take them to their survey, they can take it all at once, or they can actually use that code to, if they don't want to finish it in one sitting, go back and finish it later. But it ensures they can only finish the survey a single time. That ensures the data integrity and the reliability of the results. The other way they can do it, because some folks still like to sit down with a cup of coffee or whatever beverage they may choose and fill it out on paper, and they can do that and return it to City Hall, and you all can either scan it or mail it to us, or their survey will include a business reply envelope, and they can mail it directly to us, and we'll enter their data to ensure it's included. As I mentioned, we send one per household, and the code is only able to be used a single time. Therefore, we will send the city additional both paper surveys and additional survey codes. So if there is a household where perhaps it's a multi-generational household with voters, perhaps both partners in a household want to take the survey, they'll be able to do that by calling the City Hall and requesting, but it ensures that, again, data integrity of one per household on average. We used to actually send 2 per household. We would get 1 back, and what ended up happening then was a lot of money being spent on printing and mailing. That was completely unnecessary, and the data has proven as reliable as it was when we were sending 2 per household. So to save some money for our partners, we do 1 per household now. Below that, we explain that if you need additional support to complete the survey, including in a different language, please contact City Hall. And then that results will be reported at a city council meeting and available on the website, so folks know they're not sending this survey into the abyss, never to see the results again. We thank them, and again, that's signed by the mayor. And at the bottom of the page, we also wanted to let folks know how they can get more information. So you all have some public opportunities for communication about this, as well as some information available on the website. So we explain that they can learn more about the challenges by watching a video and reading the full facility needs study at that website link, and if they're online, they will be able to click that link. Or they can attend an upcoming open house informational session, and we have those 4 upcoming sessions listed. So, after we've introduced the situation and outlined how folks can take the survey, page 2 gets into the challenges. So we start by explaining when the existing building was built, that a remodel was completed a few years ago to buy time for a future facility to be built, but that since then demands for services have increased faster than projected. The current building has several challenges. One is a lack of space, something that cannot be addressed within the current facility. We explained some of the consultant work that assessed all city facilities and found that City Hall and public safety staff need 41% more space than what they have now, and what projections show in the future for space needs. Then we use 5 bullet points to outline some of the specific space-related challenges. Underneath that, we highlight inadequate safety and security, which cannot be addressed within the current facility. Again, here we have 7 bullet points explaining what that inadequate safety security means, some examples of that. And finally, aging infrastructure.
While we're on this section, sorry, can I
Yes.
interrupt this for a second?
Scott.
The
Yeah.
4th bullet in the previous section, reading, the facility does not have space for officer training or hosting citywide staff events. Do we mean citywide events or staff events or both in that line?
It should be citywide or staff events. That's a great. Oh,
Thank you. Just want to double check.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mhm.
Please do feel free to stop me if you have questions or suggestions like that. So with aging infrastructure, because this is something that could be updated within the building, we explain what the cost to address it would be, which is more than $2 million. Again, we explain the specifics around what that aging infrastructure is and the challenges of it.
One more
Underneath-
correction, sorry, Scott.
Yeah.
The previous bullet the second to last bullet in the previous section, once again, the evidence room is too small and too properly processed evidence.
Yeah,
There's no and. The evidence.
there's no and. We had originally had multiple things in there and cut it down, so thank you. So once we've outlined those challenges, we explain that, again, because we cannot feasibly expand the facility, the city does not believe investing in it is a responsible use of taxpayer dollars. We propose building a new facility on City Center Drive. We ask the question, based on these challenges and that statement, would you support the city building a new city hall and police station? Yes, no, and not sure. We do ask an open-ended question, and I believe this is similar to something that's brought up at those community information sessions, so we wanted to mirror that a little bit. If you would not support building a new facility, what should the city do to solve its space challenges? On page 3, we get into the recommendation. So the city has been planning to build a new facility for nearly a decade. The City Center Drive site fits our long-range plan to have this area serve as a community hub for services and resident needs. The new building would be built on land the city already owns, which would save money in land acquisition, and already has some infrastructure, which saves additional costs. Be designed for future expansion, include a garage for maintenance equipment and police cars, and include adequate safety and security features. Then we outline that there are 2 potential approaches the city could take to meet the space needs. Option 1 would be building a smaller building to meet space needs for 10 years and expanding in the future. So we explain this option would be less costly now, but more expensive in the future as construction costs rise. Industry estimates show that the cost to fully expand would increase by 4% each year, and then we show what the total cost of this approach would be. Current cost to build the 10-year space needs, and then the future expansion with that 4% growth. Option 2 is to meet space needs for 20 years. This would be more expensive now, but less expensive in the long term because the work would all be done at once, and it avoids future increases in construction costs. The cost here is just that $48.5 million of the current cost. We explained that the city has been planning since 2018 to issue a bond to pay for this project, and that we are exploring other funding sources to reduce the impact on our taxpayers. We ask which approach should the city take to building a new city hall and police department. Option 1, option 2, and I would support either approach, or a not sure. Below that, we have some space for those folks who are not sure. What are their main reasons for not being sure? And then, a couple more things on the 4th page here. So the city will need to create a plan for the current building. No decisions have been made yet, but the city would like the community's input to develop ideas. So we have some space for comments, questions, and suggestions regarding the future of the current facility. Finally, the survey ends with respondent information. So we ask, what is your age? Is your primary residence in the city? So that's, if folks have a second address somewhere, something like that, or they may vote somewhere else or something like that if they have 2 places they live. We want to make sure that we're looking at folks who are voters and understand primary residence versus not. We ask, if yes, do you rent or own? Can understand a bit more about preferences between those 2 groups. Similarly, which precinct do you live in? Can help us understand if there are pockets of support, opposition, pockets of support for a particular option in different areas of the city. We ask a communications question. How would you like to receive information from us? This could be helpful both as you continue down the road around a new facility, but also in general communications. You can see how different groups, by age group, renters versus owners, how they prefer to be communicated with. And finally, we have an overall satisfaction question. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely would you be to recommend the city to a friend or family member? This can just be some interesting data to see how general satisfaction with the city lines up with support for your plans. We give some space for folks to explain that rating, and then finally we thank them for their participation. And that is the survey.
I have a question. Under your security section, I think you wrote that there's no bullet-resistant material in our current facility. Why on earth would we advertise that?
So we did avoid saying what areas. We just said critical areas because for that exact reason we didn't want to specify this is the place. But to me that is a security concern that is relevant to understanding the challenges of the current building.
Okay.
And we do have a resolution today where we've corrected some of those spaces.
Mr. Tobin, I have one more question. I see in the packet, printing, postage, and mailing is about $2,100, and I think that's pretty reasonable. Is there some reason why, or is there some way that we could mail this survey as part of our newsletter and maybe save on some of that postage since we're already mailing something out?
So because Community Perceptions gets the data and controls that part, there's potentially a way to do it, but I don't know that it would save us cost because they have a printer. They actually gave us printing bids for us to choose from, so who we chose was actually the best bid of the options that we received. It was the lowest bid. And the printing has certain codes that they work with the company, so
Might not match up exactly.
and also this is going out in terms of scheduling. I don't think it aligns exactly when our quarterly newsletter goes out in order for us to get the feedback on May 4th in time. So I forget the exact day that it mails out. Do you recall, Alicia? Or Scott? Do you remember what our projected mail out date is? April 10th. Is that right,
Yeah.
Scott?
I believe so. Let me double check the timeline here. Let me just bring that up. And I will just add to that. There are some, because of those individual codes, there's some pretty specific specifications with the mailing. I have never been part of a project where we tucked it into sort of another mailer piece. I think we've done it maybe a couple times in our company's history, but it's pretty rare because of those specific requirements around getting those individual codes on there, the potential for them to get mixed up, and that obviously being a much more significant problem.
Trying to line, as I'm trying to think about what you proposed there, I think one of the challenges would be is user codes are actually tracked with a particular address, and those who distribute, right now there's nothing that differentiates. The same thing goes to every house. And I don't know how our distributor would be able to facilitate that.
Understood. I guess my only other comment, getting back to this first bullet point under security, I think that bullet point should read, the facility lacks adequate security, period. And get rid of everything else.
Could we add measures?
Yeah.
Sure.
Lacks adequate security measures? Because it isn't just the bulletproof vest. There's other things related to security measures. I think that meets the intent and it addresses your concern.
Thank you.
Sure. Happy to make that change. I did find the timeline. It's expected to land in mailboxes the week of April 13th. We can never give an exact date because of the post office is never exact and different routes get at different times, but sometime the week of April 13th, we would hope to have it land.
Thanks, Scott.
I only have one other thing that I don't know if it's useful or not, or if it's something you guys considered, but if we're really looking at trying to identify like pockets of maybe support or not support, an additional question we could ask in addition to the which precinct you live in is what school district?
Oh,
Because
that's a
if you
great
knew
question.
both of those, you'd be able to really,
And the school districts are already on there.
right.
They're on the map. That's
So if you knew that it was precinct 1 Wayzata, okay, well,
That
that
narrows it
narrows
even
it down to
more.
there. If
That's
it's
a great
precinct, or precinct 3 Wayzata, if it's precinct 1 Rockford, you know it's that strip. If it's
That's-
precinct 2 Buffalo, you know it's that strip.
So we have 5 school districts, Scott,
Okay.
and they're listed on there, so, yeah.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will. I won't make you all watch me type out each one, but I will add those. I think that's a good addition.
That really is, that's a great, helpful feedback.
Other than that, anything else? I think it looks good.
Thank you all very much for your time
Thank you.
tonight.
Thanks, Scott.
Have a great rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Alrighty, we'll move on to open forum. Once we get, there we go. And Jay will walk us through that.
So anyone who would like to speak on anything that is not on the agenda, please come forward, give me the card identifying the topic that you'd like to speak on, and then you'll be called forward up to the podium. Please speak directly to the council. You'll have 3 to 5 minutes to share your thoughts. No action will be taken at this time. And at this time, I don't have any cards. I don't know if there's anyone that would like to come forward.
I do have a card.
Okay. Take your time, no worries. No worries.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to head up to the mic and state
Ms.
your...
Lundgren, is it Lundgren? Yes, Lindgren. So, Ms. Diana Lindgren, if you'd like to start out, please state your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is Diana Lindgren, and I would like to bring to your attention that at least about a year ago, I was here asking for help. I'm asking for help again. Francine and myself have started an association, and we are both on the chopping block to be thrown out of our houses. There are things that we have gotten from the residents telling us about things like there's sinkholes that are opening up in the park. And we can't, I have written to the Attorney General. I've had all of G Street to write to the Attorney General, and he just turned around and sent the letters to Vicki, our manager. She has, in my opinion, broken several laws, and she bullies people. She has not, I guess I'm asking for help to try and get a handle on some of this. They need to take care of these sinkholes. Somebody's going to get hurt. We almost lost a dog last year to being sucked into down one of the little rivers. Now I know that we had a grant agreement that put in the sewer system, and I don't know if the sewer system is failing, but my backyard is soaking wet most of the time. I have water from the field clear to the back door of my house. So therefore, my bedroom and my bathroom hangs over soggy water, or soggy ground. You know, so I'm sure that that's what has opened up a lot of these holes up underneath of some of these trailers. They're big enough for a full-grown man to fit through. You know, so that's why I'm concerned that much about it. And if a little kid wants to go tubing down our so-called river, and they take a wrong turn, they can be sucked into one of these holes. I've tried to throw rocks down it, and then you can't hear. I don't know if it's mucky to the point to where the rock doesn't hit anything, or it just, you know, lands on deaf ears. But, you know, I mean, I've been fighting for at least a year now to try and have somebody, you know, do something about it. Also, I don't know about the grant agreement and exactly how that is going, but they are raising our rent another $60. It was $200 last year, and now they're raising it another $60. And I guess I would like to know what programs to get on, or, you know, any of that stuff. I am retired. I'm on a fixed income, and I can't take too much more of a hit because they've also closed our storage areas. And, so my rent didn't go up to $200, my rent went up $581 because I have to house everything up. I can't have a boat in my driveway. I can't have anything in my driveway. I don't necessarily have a car. I have a trailer, but that is considered violating the lease. So, I'm under the pressure as far as being thrown out of my house. If I lose my case, I am to leave my house immediately. Now, why it has to be that harsh, I don't know. But, we're under the gun, and there's a lot of people that are shying away from coming and talking to us because of the retaliation that is going on. Jeff is also a manager. He has made a false police report about me, stating that I am letting a person that was trespassed live in my household. He does not live in my household. I keep telling them that, but it is my lawsuit. So we're at our end. We don't know what to do and how to try to stop these people from just taking our own. They have made it so that in their lease, you cannot sell the house. You have to offer it to them first, and then they have to say they don't want it. If they don't want you to be able to sell it, they won't allow anybody else to move into the park to take over my house. And the only other way that I am left to try and save my house is have it towed out of the park and sold that way. But if I try to do that, I am to take a $2 million insurance policy and put it in Vicky's name so that if something happens, she gets the money, not me. So, I guess let Francine try and get you up with a couple of more things, but, we are here trying to talk for everybody in the park, and everybody is scared. Nobody wants to come to the meetings because they don't know what's gonna happen. Here we are the two that created a committee, and we are both on the block to be thrown out of the park. I thought that we had, the association is supposed to help us with that, but.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're.
Ms. Francine Woodford, please state your name and address for the record.
All right, my name is Francine Woodford. I was here, like Diana said, approximately a year ago to raise concerns about the very things I, brought up last year.
What's your address?
Oh, my address,
Please.
I live at the Maple Hill Estates mobile home in Texas Home Community. And I'm in A23. It doesn't, anybody can know where I'm at. I'm the elected president of the resident association that I organized specifically to try to, get some accountability for the unfair and deceptive trade practices that the new management and owners of the community have been, utilizing. So I've reached out to the Attorney General multiple times, and I have not really gotten any meaningful response or relayance that something is being done. I've also written letters to every single legislator in our district, senators and House representatives. They all referred me to the Attorney General's office, which is not helpful.
Have you reached out to any outside of our district?
No, but I have reached out to different agencies in the state and in the federal government relating to housing and.
I only brought that up because, and I paused your time here momentarily.
Okay.
I believe there's some substantial legislation being discussed
Yes.
Regarding mobile home parks.
Yeah.
And so there might be legislators who are working on those bills in particular that might be able to help and know more about resources and might be the right avenue to go.
Yes.
And I could try to find those names for you and let you know.
That would be helpful.
Great.
I do know that the recent attempt to pass the state manufactured homeowners bill of rights was not the vote. It was not a vote that was a positive result for homeowners.
Okay.
Apparently, the constituent was promised that their district representative would vote yes, and when it came time to vote, he walked out, and when asked why did he lie, he said politics. Really? Politics over people? That's absolutely outrageous, okay? I've contacted so many different agencies in government, state government and federal government, and I'm here again, like Diane said, I'm here again a year later, asking for help with the very same issue that I was here for a year ago. Nothing's been done to protect residents that are being priced out of their homes and facing retaliatory evictions for exercising protected tenant activities and rights. We have the right to organize to address the, matters, our living conditions in our park. And the only response that I've gotten from management for my complaint and for my attempt to, remedy the injustice that's occurring is fabricated rule violations, surely to support the unjust eviction that I'm currently fighting right now. I've reached out to these agencies. I've been referred to the Attorney General. I haven't really received a meaningful response any response from the Attorney General since May of last year about my housing-related concerns and violations of state law and consumer protection laws as well. And I just don't, it's like who is gonna stand up and, what's gonna be the final straw where somebody is gonna stand up and do something to try and protect the residents from these, unfair and unfair evictions being taken against them because they're trying to stand up for their rights. What's the point of having all these laws in place to protect people from the very thing that we're experiencing if nobody's enforcing them? Where do we draw the line and stop allowing this to occur unchecked if management has no fear of consequences? And historically, there has been no consequence. They're just carrying on like it's another day. Totally, completely in disregard for the welfare of the residents, and no care at all that their lives are being completely disrupted and their property and their homes stolen out from underneath them. It's like, who's gonna stand up and fight? I don't know when I'm gonna hit the right agency. I don't know when I'm gonna connect with the right organization that can help me do something about this. It just feels like no one wants to make any real effort to do anything about what's occurring. Like I said, I came here a year ago with the same issue. I reached out to many agencies, officials. Still, I've got the same response. Everyone's looking the other way. And that's about what I got.
Thank you.
So,
I appreciate you coming out.
May I
if-
state one more thing?
Sure, if you'd like to come up to the mic quick.
It has to do with the water. I am under the understanding that we had one of the wells, that the city of Corcoran shut one of the wells down, and we were not supposed to use it, and this is back in 2020. But our management has gotten frustrated with well number one, and they shut that off, and they turned back on this well that has got the stuff in it that causes lesions and things like that. There's also been an injustice done where there was a PCA person that was not allowed to go in and take care of two men that had passed away. And nobody's looked into the 3 months that she turned this well on. There were 6 people that died in the 3 months. So I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure you guys were aware
Thanks
of
for
that.
sharing that.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, a question that you raised. So for your awareness, if you wanted a copy, I have the two bills and I can give you, the Senate bill is SF 2691. There's actually 5 authors that might be helpful reference.
I reached out to all of them.
And they actually just had a second reading in the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee 3 days ago. And then in the House, there are 19 authors. That bill is HF 2381. And last action on that was a little bit earlier this month on the 5th of March. So those are the two bills, HF 2381, SF 2691. And if you go to the Office of the Reviser of Statutes, it gives the list of their names and how to contact those that collect
I
those.
copy them all on an email.
So I've been in connection with the Manufactured Homes Resident Collective, who is connected to the authors of these bills and, pursuing, resolution of the issues occurring that I'm looking into every option I got here, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
We are running out of time.
Yes.
Could I ask a quick question, Mr. Tobin? Do we have anything in place ordinance-wise regarding eviction notices? Do we have a number of days in our rental that
I
specifies?
know rental gets a little tricky
Yeah,
because
so
of
especially when they own the trailer and they're just renting land, that's not something currently covered in our rental ordinance specifically. If there are manufactured homes that are being rented out, then that would be under a rental license, but that would be a specific home within the park. And then the other issue being, we do not regulate very much within private leases. We do have some rules in terms of if there are zoning ordinance violations, there could theoretically be an eviction, but I don't believe we have any language regarding how they evict with our current rental ordinance.
Okay, I only ask because I don't know the specifics, but in the city that I work in, we just passed an emergency ordinance, basically extending the eviction notice date from 14 days to 30 days to allow people time to try to access Hennepin County to try to get some assistance with their rent.
We did not take that approach when we adopted the rental. It was, that we weren't really at that point thinking about
Right.
regulating the individual leases.
Yeah,
Specifically to address the question that you're raising, what does exist, and this was sent out after they visited us last year, because of our limitations, I sent out the manufactured home parks handbook as well as the manufactured home rights guide, and specifically on page 5 of that, it talks about the requirements of serving notice, which addresses what you're talking about. So within that guide from the Attorney General's office, there's some specific requirements that under Minnesota Statute 327C.02 subdivision 5.
so would this be something we should look into, changing our ordinance to include something like that with our rental?
I
Or-
defer to our attorney on that one.
Mayor and members of council, we can look into what authority we have. Our authority is somewhat limited in this area. Unfortunately, we don't have much authority to step into the landlord-tenant relationship. So if you're talking about a notice requirement found in our rental housing, it's not even clear that most of the housing in the park would qualify, as Natalie mentioned. So I don't know that there's much that the city can do in this realm, unfortunately. It's not a want to, it's a able to problem.
So it isn't where we've defined this parcel or this property as a specific, I don't even know what it would be, like,
So if every manufactured home in the park was being rented out and they
Okay.
weren't owned, then we would have more ability to, theoretically, we could have more ability to regulate some things. But the reality is.
because it's land, that it's different?
They're renting land and they own the home and it's a rental dwelling. So we're focused on the dwelling, because the whole argument for why the rental dwelling ordinance exists is because we're regulating the safety of the dwelling.
Okay.
So rental of land is not, we don't get involved with land
Gotcha.
rentals. We have lots of actually land rentals in the city just because farmers rent out land all the time. That does not require a rental dwelling license.
Okay, thank you.
In general, the parks are basically because of the way that they're operated with an owner and that's been putting out the land, like you said, but not
Okay.
the homes, and it gets unfortunately tricky.
Okay,
But
thank
hopefully
you.
we can get that, those contacts, or they know where to find the contacts.
They know where to find them now.
Is the city aware of the point that was raised about sinkholes in that part of the city?
And the well.
And the well.
I mean, it's all private property, so we don't maintain it or whatever, so without someone calling, it's a sinkhole on a private property, so it really have to impact another property. In terms of the well, just, it's not a public municipal served property in terms of drinking water, so it's a private well system that would be regulated by the Department of Health. So I know there was reference that the city did something, it was likely the Department of Health. So if you have questions about water quality, I would refer you to the Department of Health if you have any.
The Attorney General, I've contacted them too. So.
Is there any adjacent construction activity that might be driving sinkhole formation with shift in the way water is flowing?
I mean, no, there's nothing, it's undeveloped property that's, I mean, I generally know it's probably south and southeast that I'm aware of some drainage issues that we looked at with adjacent developments in our modeling. But the property to the south hasn't developed, so it hasn't changed in a long time. And the sinkholes, I'm speculating a sinkhole is likely some cavity that's collapsing, right, that's drawing the material down, so that would be likely the infrastructure there. Without being on site, that would be like an internal site issue likely causing a sinkhole.
A gigantic tree was swallowed up. You know, so I mean, it's,
So I'm speculating not being on the site, but that's typical called a sinkhole, is some sort of underground movement, right? So if a pipe collapsed, in theory, that would draw material down. We haven't gone on the property, it's private property, it's private infrastructure.
I don't know as far as the sewer that was put in with the grant agreement. It flows over the top of it and comes down into our yards. I mean, it's like little rivers coming.
So the sewer agreement really just hooked up a pipe to the property. So it didn't really connect any of the houses, so it attached onto an existing pipe. So it was more of like a stub, like a service stub. So it didn't replace all the, to my knowledge, it just stubbed the property and then they decommissioned the treatment plant.
Can we reroute it?
It is, that's sanitary. So the sanitary sewer is what we do service. So their sanitary sewage flows do come through our system and ultimately Met Council. I mean, that's monitored at the Met Council lift station. I'm not aware of any spikes or peaks or surcharges. They would notify us if they had one after a storm event. So there's nothing that we know of that we've been contacted. So that I would say that would be being monitored by Met Council for those inflow, it's called ionized inflow and infiltration circumstances.
So that would be like if some fracture happened and water was leaking into the sewer from.
Yeah, it would be like, they would see a spike in volume because surface water shouldn't be treated, right? It should be runoff, so they do monitor that pretty significantly and they do come after cities to fix stuff. They have a program that monitors that, so, I mean, it's all dependent on your percentage, but they are, I guess they haven't approached us if there's a spike on an individual event, so we haven't been contacted with any specific reason. We haven't had evidence of a backup, you know, like, so in theory, if there's a sinkhole material got into our pipe, at some point it would cause a backup, we'd see a plug, we'd investigate and chase it. We haven't had any of those instances.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Mr. Thames, I think that you already answered this question, but I just want to make certain that I understand you correctly. Is it your legal opinion that this city council has no authority to intervene or otherwise get involved in a tenant-landlord matter?
Mayor and council, yeah, Councilmember Lincoln, that's generally correct. There are elements that, Natalie mentioned related to rental properties that are regulated on a public safety basis for occupancy, and that's usually the goal of that. But in purely landlord-tenant, private lease arrangements, generally the city is without authority. Correct.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to double check because there was a comment about organizations looking the other way and not wanting to help. It's not a matter that we don't want to help. I don't think that we have, the ability to help.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point, Councilmember Lanchman. I think from hearing what the residents were saying, that they're being repeatedly kind of sent in the direction of the Attorney General is, I guess, somewhat to be expected in light of the fact that the Department of Health regulations, think that, as Kevin mentioned, are the authority to enforce those is with the AG. So now that doesn't necessarily solve the problem that they're identifying. I understand, and I get your frustration, but that is the entity that would have the authority to enforce that. For example, the issue with the well that you're mentioning.
So, just sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but is there any way that the city could inquire with the Attorney General's office to, see if there's anything, even, if there's any actions being contemplated or what steps they might be? I know that, I've sent many complaints in, as well as Anna and many other residents. I'm sure we've got a good majority of complaints.
If you want to follow up with me, my card's on the wall there. I'm happy to reach out on your behalf to the Attorney General. I wouldn't expect necessarily that he would be any more responsive to me than he would be to you, but can't hurt.
What about our grant agreement? Is that just going to be swept under the table and nothing happen with it?
I think Attorney Thames might be able to speak to that.
Mayor and Council, unfortunately, the city has no authority under the grant agreement to enforce any aspects of it. It's plainly stated in the agreement that it lies with the Met Council. And so there is open litigation on that matter presently, but the city's really without any authority.
I know, in the meantime, all the residents are
Being evicted.
basically getting their property stolen and have no recourse at all, so it's sad. I'm watching it with my own two eyes and experiencing it myself, so.
Is
Sorry.
there any other low-income area that we can move into? Or do we have to move out of Corcoran to be able to stay? I'm facing it now. I have a fixed income. I have no other, and like I said, with the storage being closed on the site, I've had to take everything that I own off-site, and, it's $381 that I incurred, so like I said, it went up $581 for me.
I'm not sure offhand. I know a lot of similar parks are having similar issues. So unfortunately, I don't know that I have a recommendation for you, other than I can try to help get you in touch with the AG.
Do you have any idea who I can write as far as these sinkholes that are opening up? But, somebody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah,
Would that be through the Department of Health with AG, or would that be something else with?
Well, the Department of Health does the water.
Yeah.
In a sinkhole, unless it's affecting
private
another
property.
property. If the effect is just the individual property, like I don't know what that would be.
Yeah.
We need almost an action that affects something to look into it. I don't know how to, I don't know.
No, I think, Mayor and members, I think that's a fair assessment of the problem. Because it's internal to the property, it's really funneled back to the landlord-tenant problem that Councilmember Lanchman was alluding to. Becomes a private matter that the city really can't intervene on. But if there are matters of public violation of code, and things like that we can enforce, that's perhaps, that doesn't sound like that's exactly what your issue would be. But I think if you're concerned about the drinking water and things like that, then you have to go to the enforcement source on that.
definitely get my drinking water off-site.
Right. It's orange.
Yes, I think the water control, the really gross motor.
Well, thank you for coming today and speaking, and like I said, please follow up, and I'll do what I can to try to push that along. Like I said, I can't promise anything, and I don't know that he's any more likely to respond.
Anything we can do as far as trespassing, because they are trespassing people, and these people, there's two gentlemen that I can show you that had passed away because they were not given their PCA ability to come into the park.
That I would have to maybe to Attorney Thames or to our police.
Mayor, Council, I unfortunately know that's another private property. It just, the city really lacks any authority to tell anyone who they can and can't allow on the property, unfortunately. So not something that we're gonna have any more authority than you would on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you
course.
for hearing us again.
Take care. Alrighty.
No other cards, Mr. Mayor.
Well, we'll be attending the Sim campus whenever the next one is, no worries.
April 28th.
Yep, I have it in the calendar.
Sounds
I
good.
have several of them in my calendar.
Perfect.
You know, so we are fighting for them, that's for sure.
Fighting for rights that we should not really fight for, but hey, thank you for your time.
Yes,
you.
thank you very much for your time.
Alrighty, on to consent agenda, which we have items 6A through 6J. I and J were added. Does anyone want to pull anything? Going once, going twice. So,
Motion to approve
Second.
consent agenda.
motion Varincamp, second Lanterman. And with that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. On to item 7, planning business. We have one item. It is a concept plan for, let's see, Lost Loon. I don't have the full name.
Yes, Lost Loon concept plan, yep.
There we go. I do have the full name.
Thank you. The concept plan under review tonight, the applicant is Lost Loon LLC, and they are seeking informal council feedback before they move forward with a formal application for a cannabis cultivation facility at 20120 Auger Avenue. It is, the proposed use is specifically indoor cannabis cultivation. There is no retail component, and the proposed facility size is 15,000 square feet. The property that they have secured is 2.12 acres. It is currently a vacant parcel. It has been vacant since it was created over 30 years ago. It is zoned light industrial, and it is located within the MUSA, the Municipal Urban Service Area, and will be served by available utilities. It is in phase 1, so this is a part of our existing downtown area that did have a utility project about a decade ago. So the surrounding uses are entirely industrial users or industrial zoned properties, and there is no adjacent residential uses. And one key constraint that we will discuss is a tributary creek. I don't think I said that correctly, but a creek along the west boundary. That places much of the site within the Shoreland Overlay District. And so that does have a significant impact on the layout of the site. This is a zoomed-in version of the site plan, and I did call out the Shoreland District boundary in red. So everything west of that line is within the Shoreland overlay. Everything east falls outside of the expected overlay district.
West is in.
West is in, east is out. And then the blue line is the creek to the west,
Gotcha.
which is just off of the property.
Say that again.
So the
West of the red line
creek is
between
the
the
west.
blue.
I'm sorry, the creek is to the west, and these two blue lines is the creek.
Great.
And then the
That's
Shoreland
Shoreland.
district is all of this west area up to the red line.
Got it. Thank you.
So indoor cannabis cultivation is a permitted use in the I-1 district. It is subject to performance standards specifically related to security, odor mitigation, and waste handling. The applicant did provide a narrative with some initial information as how they intend to meet those requirements, and they also will have to meet the state requirements on top of that. The site does satisfy all required buffer distances from protected uses such as schools, daycares, and residential treatment facilities. So the zoning compliance for the use itself is not in question. It is permitted for this site. I did identify 3 issues. So the first key issue is impervious surface. The impervious surface limit for the I-1 district is 70%, but the Shoreland Overlay District caps that at 25%. The proposed site plan reaches approximately 36.5% based on my calculations, so that would have to be confirmed by the applicant's engineer as things move forward. But that's mostly driven by the building footprint and then the required parking and circulation area. They have a couple of options. Theoretically, they could potentially reduce the parking lot, Really, that does not seem feasible. They're already proposing less parking stalls than what is required by code. And they do need to have some ability to circulate the site with the vehicles that would be coming in for not deliveries, but for picking up the product. So reducing the parking lot seems unlikely. They could theoretically increase the height of the building. Right now, they're proposing about a 20-foot building. The allowable height in the I-1 district is 45 feet. So they could add potentially another story to minimize the building footprint and potentially get it closer to that 25%. The other option would be a variance from the shoreland limit. They do have much less impervious surface than what we would expect on a typical I-1 site, but they're still not meeting that shoreland limit. So one question for council is, does a variance seem appropriate given the site's environmental constraints in the I-1 context? Or would they prefer a taller building? That might be a little out of character with the rest of the existing industrial buildings, which I think are closer to that 20, 25 feet. Building materials is another thing. They have proposed the building to be primarily pre-engineered metal panels with some stone. The way our ordinance is written, buildings can only have up to 20% of panels, and that's pretty much inverse with what they're proposing. It does look like a fairly nice building. I would say that these panels are probably a little bit more higher quality than what we were anticipating when this code was written. However, other applications more recently, we have been more open to insulated metal panels, which are a higher quality than what is currently proposed. So there is a couple routes. If council likes the building as proposed, it would probably could be handled as a zoning ordinance amendment to allow something like this, or the other option would be to confirm whether the use of insulated metal panels would be appropriate, or another allowed material under our current code. So it's a matter of preference on how to direct the applicant. The final issue is the parking reduction. The city code requires 38 parking spaces for this type of use, and they are proposing 19 spaces. They are expecting 10 to 15 employees. So at any given time, the maximum employees would be 15 with what they're currently expecting for the site. So 19 spaces would allow for an all-staff event plus some extra spaces as well. So they are requesting that reduction to 19 spaces. The staff would recommend that this not get processed as a variance, which is what the applicant had requested in the narrative, but instead handle it as an interim use permit, which is something that we do allow by code. And the benefit of that is that it does allow the city to revisit this condition if operational needs change, including if another user comes in that does need more parking, whether that be 20 years from now or whatever that looks like. So for council discussion, is reduced parking with an IUP acceptable given the demonstrated low demand of how many employees they're expecting to the site? They are not expecting any customers to the site. The only other people coming to the site then would be people picking up the product, and they would be at the site very temporarily. Some additional considerations as the application moves forward. A full stormwater management plan will be required. A wetland delineation must be completed prior to the formal application. Municipal sewer and water are available at the site, as said earlier, but they will be responsible for connection fees, and trunk line area charges will apply. Access and security, the site will be accessed via the cul-de-sac on Auger Avenue. They are proposing a gated entry. That can be allowed with public safety. They require I think it's a Knox box, yes, a Knox box, but that is definitely something that can be permitted, and it is overall consistent with the facility security requirements. And then final, a detailed lighting and landscaping plan will be required when the formal site plan is submitted. Summary of next steps. So again, the proposed facility generally aligns with the I-1 zoning. The three key issues tonight to discuss are the impervious surface limit, building materials, and the parking reduction. And council is asked to provide comments and direction to the applicant for their application. They, the comments are non-binding, but they do help the applicant in determining what they should focus on as they finalize their submittal.
Thank you. Can you leave that page up?
Yes.
Awesome. Does anyone have anywhere they want to start on those 3 issues? Or the tree, or the building, or the slide? There we go.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
Natalie, can you go to the map with the shoreland overlay line on it? If I go to page 26 of 27, the overlay line, the buildings that are inside that on the properties to the south, those are acceptable because of the footprint of the building and the parking lots and stuff, because the property straight to the south, the whole building and the parking lot is in the shoreline district. The next building to the south, the whole building is in it, or are those all different type things?
So some of these lots and buildings have been here for quite a long time, so I'd have to look at when they got approved, if any variances were approved.
That would be
But
the,
exactly, so for as far as an I-1 district parcel goes, it is expected that most of it's gonna have impervious surface. It's needed for the building and the parking, so it's a bit of a contradiction to have the shoreland overlay at 25% and then industrial at I-1, and so it does make it difficult for the site to comply. So it's
yep, gotcha.
Is there a middle ground, or do we want the building taller? And I think
No,
an argument could be made.
you answered it. Those are, like you exactly said, this area, industrial park, has been around for eons, and whatever happened there, happened there. So we don't want to really compare to them. We just want to talk about what this is. So
I do think it's fair to consider the context of the neighborhood in terms of, do we want a much taller building, or would we prefer the building be more in line with what's around it? With a design that tries to minimize the impact of impervious surface, but maybe doesn't hit the 25% directly.
yeah.
I think a taller building would stand out more.
A what?
A taller building would stand out.
It would. 36% compared to 25 doesn't seem a lot
It's
to
low
me.
for industrial,
And then the other question I had, real quick, and then I'll give up. Do they have the license to grow? Is this happening faster with these folks than the one out on County Road 10?
If they're going through the same process,
Okay.
they have to secure the city approvals before, because the city has to
Gotcha.
sign off before the state can issue a license.
Also here and available for questions.
Appreciate it.
Had a hunch it was you. No, those are my questions. And then recently, cannabis and the law, the federal laws have changed or not changed?
I don't believe anything has changed to an extent that it changes what we're doing here, no.
All right, thanks.
I was just gonna say on the industrial comment, it is different than what else is there, but I think it would also be more of a contemporary industrial site than a lot of the others that were small businesses that started a long time ago. Standards and expectations and building design was very different then. I don't think we necessarily need to get it to fit with buildings that are 30 years older. I think, to me, I'd rather see us achieve the shoreline overlay percentage by getting a taller structure and then having a site that isn't in violation for the next couple decades, right? So 20 years from now, this area will probably have some level of redevelopment. It won't always look exactly the way that it does. Maybe some businesses will come together and create larger parcels for other things to come in. And that's probably something beneficial to the tax base if that were to happen. So this might be a good opportunity for us to set a new standard in this area.
Could I ask a question, Mayor, for Councilman McNick? So I remember when we were first having the conversations about cannabis cultivation, there were concerns about conspicuous business and we wanting it to not be highlighted or identified. Would there be any concerns about this being the only two-story building? It does feel like that would kind of highlight it so people would pay attention to the business in a way that kind of conflicts with the direction that I'd understood that we were going previously.
I think that was mostly, if I remember the conversations correctly, a lot of that was because the other one was in a more residential area. And here we're in an industrial park. So to me, it's less of a concern. They probably want to have some advertising. I'm guessing you're going for some brand awareness at some point, so.
I mean, ideally, nobody knows we're there, in my opinion.
Okay.
I'd rather not have recognition, I'd rather not be seen, you know,
You'd rather blend.
yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I'd rather not draw a lot of attention to ourselves. I do want to bring up something that we've been.
Could you come up to the
Yeah.
mic, please, so we can get on the record? And state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name's Brad Varden, representing Lost Saloon LLC today. I wanted to bring up a point. One of the focuses of our business is really an environmental focus, so we really don't want to be upsetting any wetland districts or anything. One thing we've been looking into is permeable pavers and permeable asphalt. Be a possibility to, if acceptable to the council, to lower our impermeable surface while still retaining our footprint. There's a lot of technology these days in both permeable pavers and permeable asphalt with an under parking lot drainage system. I don't know if that would be acceptable to council, but it's a technology we've been looking into to remedy this very, very fact. So I just wanted to put that out for consideration.
I think it'd be something to explore with staff.
So I think in terms of our engineering standards, it would still count as impervious, but if the council was open to, if there was an agreement that a certain percentage of it was impervious pavers, then that could be something we could explore.
Yeah.
To hit the 25, to hit the spirit of the 25.
Right.
There
Yeah.
is some preference on our part to not be taller. That makes our engineering more complicated. There's a lot of electrical and HVAC systems are a really big thing. And maintaining environmental control in this building is our top priority. That's where we lose our money in both electricity costs and just heating the darn thing in the winter is going to be huge for us.
And to me, it makes sense to try to explore some of that. While it might not change the impervious calculation, it might change the actual impact of it. And if we're still low for the industrial zone, high for the shoreline, but low for industrial site in general, plus that, it might get close to being.
We'd love to work with
a wash.
We want to find a way that makes this.
I would
sense.
explore that. I think that's a good idea, personally.
Quick question with the pavers stuff. Didn't we have that same kind of conversation with the winery? They wanted to
It
put
wasn't
in.
pavers, they wanted a grass parking lot, and it wasn't pavers.
Oh, I thought it was the same kind of thing, but
No.
overlay it with
They were
grass,
okay with
not
that.
pavers.
It
It's
was a
literally
geo
what's
grid.
across the
Yeah.
street.
Nope, you're good. You're good. Nope.
Mr. Mayor?
That answers
His
that.
question? Okay, this would be a question for our community development director. I don't recall, but I know it's like industrial, but do we have architectural standards that require more, like, breakup of the building if it's as big as it is?
Not in
Okay.
this, not
Okay.
in this area. We do have that in our northeast district.
Okay.
And then there's certain areas of the southeast district that have that. This is technically falls outside of that, so this is just subject to our non-residential building standards, which is a smaller section of code, so it's really just
Okay.
about that, whether or not we want these panels or something of a little higher quality. Now, you could provide feedback that you want something more, but I do think that they probably want to avoid a lot of windows.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, which, oh,
And to this point, as from the time we've submitted this application to now, we've actually been looking a lot into our solar options and have been leaning heavily toward doing actually a concrete precast building
Oh.
instead of the IMP panels, both for the higher R value and honestly, in order to put the solar panels we'd like to put on this facility, you gotta poke a whole bunch of holes in those IMP panels, and that's another spot to lose efficiency. So we're probably leaning in that direction right now. Sorry about the change up on your
No,
guys'
that's
end,
okay.
but I believe that is allowable under your guys' code. So it could potentially solve this issue right off the bat.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess my input would be, like, if we're looking at 20 years into the future, and even though it is in that specific area of our code, I just feel like a big steel building or concrete building with, I mean, I think that looks beautiful, but I feel like it also wears over the years. And so it just isn't like as appealing. And I don't know, if we're trying to like bring that area up to make it more not so vintage, maybe some additional architectural wouldn't be so bad.
Absolutely, I can see that. One of our long-term goals, again, sustainability is a chief, concern of ours. We'd love to be doing some gardens and extensive work outside, that really brighten space. And that's I agree with you completely.
Yeah, I like the concept. I think I would support it. I think it's a wonderful idea, and I like the idea that you want to stay sort of inconspicuous.
Absolutely.
I like the idea of gardening and really kind of dressing up the outside that way. And also too, I think Michelle's initial point, if there's maybe, if you're looking at a different style of building as you're going that route and working with staff, any ideas
Maybe
for?
just adding some articulation
Yeah,
of something else.
some
that's
things
for
to,
interest, yeah.
Even false windows, faux windows, just something there, not needing to be windows, but just instead of the steel or the concrete, just
We can put a mural up
a
there?
pretend window. Murals are another thing that,
I mean, we'd love to put a mural up.
I'm curious what
I-
that might look like.
Very tasteful.
shrubs and trees,
How very
Jay.
good focus.
There we go.
Buckthorn mural, so it blends.
I have some questions for you.
Absolutely.
I assume that this building has a ventilation system?
Yes.
Okay, so is it true that, that the ventilation system would exchange air from the inside to the outside?
It will.
Does marijuana have an odor?
It does.
Is it true that some people find that odor offensive?
We do.
Okay. I know that you said that you wanted to be inconspicuous, but if this council approves this project, how would you feel about us having a big sign saying, "Welcome to Corcoran, the cannabis capital of Minnesota"? Would you support me in that?
I mean, depends what you as a council want to embrace. I don't see cannabis as a negative, so if that's how you guys feel about how you move the direction of the city, it'd be great. But in terms of smell outside the facility, it's definitely a major concern of ours. The state is currently working on scent standards for buildings. They do not have them currently posted, but there's been many regulations in many states. This has been an issue that's come up across the country, and the technology is getting way ahead of it. We're planning both carbon capture. They use carbon filters that can extract tons of scent before it even gets outside the facility. On top of that, we're talking negative pressure systems in our growing areas to prevent that air from actually escaping the facility without going through those filters. And then on top of that, the most scent-intensive part of the process is the drying and curing phase, which we are looking at doing within a hermetically sealed chamber called a canna control system. And this would prevent vast majority of the scent from escaping the facility. So Mark, I hope that helps answer your question.
Yeah, it does, thank you. I have not had a chance to look at the city code, but I believe that there is a prohibition of odor
I thought it was
in our
good.
city code. I know that that came up on another matter.
I think it could be under nuisance.
I think it is under nuisance. And I think the code reads something like it's prohibited.
That's what I thought too, Mark, with the other one out on 10, I thought there was no odor.
Well, and it also came up with some trucking warehouse, and the fact that the trucks
Diesel fuel,
would have
diesel
odor.
smell and stuff, yep,
Yeah.
international, yeah.
So I don't know if this is even something that can get approved because of that.
So as the applicant just explained, they're deploying 3 methods to contain the smell within the building. So I don't,
And I think that's something that potentially we would get more information on as this would come back.
correct. So I I don't know that I have anything saying that there will be odor detectable outside from the property line, which is what the standard would be. So if there was something, then we'd have to go through, but they're already employing 3 methods, and it sounds like the state would be potentially requiring more and a similar standard to what the city has already proposed for this use.
Once the state has standards, we're more happy to exceed them, as we plan to do. We don't want, like I said, we don't want to be noticed, we don't want to be seen. Put it this way to several council members, we prefer our business to be like a frog. You can't see it, you can't hear it, you can't smell it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. There's some really nice property in Rogers.
I've looked at it all, believe me, trust me.
Okay.
The zoning requirements for cannabis are very difficult, and definitely look for a very long time before settling on this property.
Well, I appreciate you coming here today. I don't support your application.
I understand.
Okay.
I just wanted to pull up what our code says specifically for cannabis users. It says adequate ventilation systems must be installed to ensure no odor is detectable from the exterior of the building or from adjacent properties. So, again, it sounds like they have 3 methods that have been, as far as my research and understanding of the topic, from just having to dive into all of this, those are the top 3 standards that I'm aware of, and they're talking about employing all 3 of them. So it does sound like they are making a plan for that adequate ventilation that we require for cannabis business.
Okay, so, but the code says no odor.
From the exterior of the building or from adjacent properties, not within the building. So,
Yeah, oh yeah, I don't care about the smell in the building.
yeah.
I'm talking about when the smell from in the building is being vented to the outside.
But they've already explained that they are planning on different processes that would not have the smell.
And again, I think that's something that's a conversation for another day, once we know what exactly the requirements are and what the applicant may use.
One
Hopefully some evidence on
last
those
question
systems.
for you. Can you guarantee that there will be no odor outside of your building?
I can guarantee we'll be implementing systems that are intended to prevent any odor from escaping the building. Can I guarantee odor outside the building? Yes, that's time to tell.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyone else, specifically on the building material issue or the parking reduction with IUP? I think the parking reduction with an IUP makes sense as opposed to a variance, for the reasons Natalie stated.
If they needed to add parking spaces in 30 years because some new business is coming in, is there space without violating the shoreline over?
We'd have to probably either review a variance or maybe review some combination of pavers, impervious versus pervious pavers, things like that.
Okay.
But no, there isn't enough room for them to have a parking lot that meets code plus have a building that is of sufficient size. A 15,000 square foot industrial building is relatively small in this day and age.
Mhm.
So I would say, different user comes in, has nothing to do with what is being currently proposed, but it's something that would require 38 parking stalls or more. It would be a variance at that time most likely, or some combination of working through the impervious surface limit. But that would be, basically what I'm trying to say is this would be a constraint with any industrial user, most likely.
So there's physical space, but you would need to be creative with the permeability if you wanted to try to still achieve that lower target.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. But other than that, is everyone kind of on board with the IUP route? Okay. Building materials, the issue of well, it looks like we're maybe not doing the metal panels potentially at all, so maybe that's a question.
Yeah, I think
addressed
the
through
feedback
staff.
that we've heard was that more articulation of the building
Yeah.
to kind of break up
Yep.
the facade. Would prefer building materials that meet our standards, not doing a zoning ordinance
Yep.
amendment. So that's what I took from
Perfect.
what's been said.
Anything else that we need?
And then we talked about, I think those are the 3.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
table.
Thank
So
you.
much for your time. I appreciate all your comments and questions.
Thank you.
Good one. Okay, on to unfinished business. 8A, yard waste survey results.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I just had my AI workshop training today, so my presentation is not as fancy. Co-opetition going on.
That was also from the training today, so.
No, mine wasn't in the training, so it's not as fancy. I'm gonna step up our game.
Oops, hold on.
not an AI training today.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just courtesy of the previous, you can leave if you'd like.
Okay, you're welcome to stay, but no offense no offense will be taken if you leave.
My heart rate to go down. Especially with Mark, really. Appreciate you.
You did fine.
While Jay's looking, can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Just, are you working on any other place in the Twin City area or outside? Okay, all right,
I grew up down the road from here. I love this area. I want to be here.
okay,
It's coming up.
It's a family business, but I want to be here.
gotcha, thank you.
I don't know why anything's up, nothing's plugged in.
It's really weird, I know.
Got gremlins
Did
coming
you brush up on your tap sheet
That was what was on Natalie.
lessons or anything? Can you do a little jig or something? Just trying to just making crap.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you are.
Just trying to kill time.
Yeah, at the Capitol today, my watch kept going like, dude, your heart rate is way too high. Like testifying, it was like, your heart rate's been over 140 beats per minute while sitting. For
Uh-oh.
like, yikes.
While sitting.
So loosen this up, yeah.
They threw us some curveballs, so we were supposed to be number 12 in the chute, and we're, did it go?
Yeah.
I can try.
Okay.
Oh, no, you had it.
Yeah, but it's not, something happened with my screens.
Yeah.
Where is
Sorry.
it?
You know, Kevin is AI trained.
Well, it's partially, well, this morning, this was done last week.
He's-
so
he's
I
partially
take the blame
trained.
for this.
Where's the?
It's about a computer.
Something happened with the settings so that it's not coming off my screen. I don't know why. So, Kevin can keep talking while I'm trying to figure this out, so.
All right.
We do have the packet in front of us.
All right.
Unless there's strategy
And,
different.
and there's,
All right, all right. So if you got, council members, if you recall back in October, last October, we had a resident come to open forum and kind of spoke on the topic of yard waste management, and an outcome of that was really to conduct a survey in our community to gauge interest. Staff evaluated some options around the city, went and visited some, vendors nearby that could possibly serve in yard waste management services, and really put out a survey in February of this year that was distributed on the website and through social media to raise awareness. We did get 66 responses. There's like a location map there that actually looks very representative of the city. Pretty surprised at that. So I think we got a good representative sample. I just wanted to note that 8 of those surveys did not show up on our address because they typed it in and didn't match up with Hennepin County GIS. So they did count in the survey. So if someone's looking and they don't see a dot on their map, there's 8 of them that did not get a dot, but they are still part of the 66, so they are represented in the survey. So just a point of clarification there. Kind of first slide here, just how concerned are you about managing yard waste? Really the takeaway for me, and again, this is an open conversation, so any feedback or direction is what we're really looking for here is a dialogue. The takeaway for me is roughly 2/3 of our community is at least somewhat concerned about yard waste. Next slide, the question was really, what is the primary concern related to yard waste? It was kind of spread out. It was cost, convenience of disposal, no concerns or lack of disposal options. That one is probably inconclusive, but it just shows that it's a variation of reasons that people are looking for service assistance. I will note at the bottom of the slide are the other answers, so the other responses are listed below for that 6%. Next question we asked was, how do you currently manage your yard waste? Really the theme there, it's kind of a variety. A third of the community or respondents said on my property or compost. A quarter said use another yard waste in another city. 4% said they use one of our licensed trash haulers, because some of them do offer services, so that's a low number. We'll get to maybe speculation on why that is in future slides. 15% stored on their property, which isn't unexpected in the rural areas of Corcoran. Other might be burn permit or something like that. So again, those responses are also listed below for the other category. Next slide really touched on how much do you spend per year. Currently, how much do you spend per year on yard waste? 60% said 0. So that's either people that don't need it or they do it in a cost-effective way, likely managing on their own property. Okay. So we would be one more slide, probably one more. That's when I was just speaking to. Thank you, Jay. So I can move to the next slide. Next question was, would you support a levy increase to help subsidize a yard waste service? And 78% of the respondents said no. That was a pretty strong ratio. Next question was, how should yard waste disposal service be funded? And this is just based on what other communities do and what options out there were in the market. So when we had this, we kind of tried to collect as much ancillary data as we could, and it was really user fee was at 66%, which coincides with previous questions about the subsidy. There was a small percentage there that had, maybe some partial tax support there at a smaller level. Next question was, how much would you be willing to pay for a yard waste service? I found this to be a pretty intriguing question. It's really evident that at least currently, for these respondents, $100 was a pretty hard stop annually to achieve that service. A couple people pushed up to $200, and there was no interest above $200 a year. And we can get to the kind of the summaries later, but at a $100 price point, that's pretty challenging to service that either through another vendor. You almost have to use your site to do that. I believe our haulers are, I think they're closer to a $200 price point through our hauling services. Next question was, what type of payment structure would you prefer if a yard waste site were offered? Just information on this one. I don't know if there's real takeaways at this point. If the city partnered with a neighboring business to offer access to a yard waste site, how far would you be willing to drive to utilize the service? This is important as we look to site some facility. What is the interest? How do we generate demand? And really 50% of the folks, respondents, wanted it within 5 miles. It jumped up to, so only 30% of the respondents would travel 6 to 10 miles. So if you think about that, what does that mean? I mean, Corcoran's roughly 5-6 miles. So you're really talking about not leaving Corcoran, or if you're looking at the eastern, newer part of Corcoran with smaller lots that might have more challenges dealing with yard waste, your options are pretty limited because those services are probably closing or ending sooner as you go east. So that is a little bit concerning when we look at the site, is that the demand really, at least initially, is that they don't want to leave Corcoran. So that means we have to probably site something in Corcoran instead of looking at a neighbor potentially. Just, again, that could vary and change over time as there's more pressure, but it's a little data point there is that people don't want to drive too far as well. So in summary, and we're here to take your feedback as well, but staff's interpretation of the survey is just really there is not a demand that we can afford, right? The demand out there is not affordable at the $100 price point from our perspective. So we really want to just educate residents on what options they do have. So if they're not aware of their options, and make sure they are aware of the current options. That trigger of not wanting to subsidize was pretty strong. So making sure they know how they can manage it appropriately on their own property, making sure they understand the burn permit process, making sure that they are aware that some licensed haulers do carry that option. I don't believe all of them, but some do, so if it's a priority for them, they could look at that. And then just, they could still go to another facility in one of our neighboring communities. They just have to pay on a user basis, which if you're using it a lot, the cost goes up. But that's kind of what the survey from staff said is, like, the users pay for it. So if you have the need, you pay for it. So it's really going to be hard to subsidize a program at $100 a user from staff's perspective, or to not subsidize a program at $100 a user. What that means is we have to monitor the growth of that concern, right? So we do anticipate as our newer neighborhoods mature, the trees get larger, there's more leaves, there's more wind events that lose branches. As some of those neighborhoods mature, we do anticipate higher demand. That's just not there today. So just monitoring and be aware. We want to be aware of what's happening in the market around us. If there's opportunities to have conversations with neighbors or current landowners through the planning process, we want to just keep all options open. This data will help us understand some of those points and where to start conversations. But really it's education, just kind of listening and then recognizing when we think there's an opportunity to have a conversation. So no real actions recommended other than publishing this survey in the newsletter and the website, and then making sure some of those things are highlighted from an educational standpoint. And with that, I would open it up to any comments or questions from the council.
Any questions? Good job.
I want to thank Lauren, who led most of this, and then also Aaron with communications, and Alicia. So she was on town, so otherwise she would have been here to present. So.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
can I ask you one quick question? Is there any programs through Hennepin County that might have some sort of like composting bins that we could look at maybe doing a program, a small program, or something that you could just make residents aware of?
We can, there's resources out there that we're generally aware of for the watershed. We can make sure we kind of highlight that. We try to through the newsletter. It really depends on composting at a small scale that might work. If you're talking, depends on what yard waste issue you're talking about.
Yeah.
If it's branches, that's going to be difficult. But it's kind of, people, if they have questions, they can come in and ask me and try to direct resources to those.
Yeah, like maybe even how to build your own compost site with like old, I know I have a neighbor who built one with like the wooden planks, or I'm not sure they're called. They're like the wooden things that used to be up on the corner where you could get them for free. And they basically built 3 sides, 2 of them next to each other, and then they would just transfer leaves and sticks back and forth between the 2.
Yeah, I think Hennepin County Environmental has different services where they educate people on managing different things.
Yeah.
So, like I said, if folks have questions, we'll probably direct them to other entities that have potential
Yeah, that would be great, just to have the
opportunities like that.
information, like in a newsletter or something, like, hey, contact Hennepin County for residential grants for building a compost bin or something.
Sure.
Yeah.
One of the things that I thought was really helpful for me is, Kevin and I were talking through the data on this, is it is, I think, a bigger concern. That's one of my takeaways than I realized. I think, candidly, since we hadn't heard from a lot of people, we were thinking that it wasn't as big a concern. But with that concern, there's not an appetite to pay for it on their taxes. And so that really, what that communicates is it's not yet a city problem. But to Kevin's point, we need to continue to pay attention to it in order to be prepared to address that concern with a city solution when the time is right. It's just not right yet.
Agreed.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think a year or 2 years ago, we had somebody on the southwestern corner of Corcoran wanting to open a compost site. And this group up here said, we are in a storage facility and we are in a compost site for the rest of the area. That's kind of toning it down from what John Bottom said. So, but we did have somebody interested, and if you want to know those people's names, I can give them to you if you don't remember that, Kevin. So.
Yeah, I remember the conversation, and that's what I was alluding to, is there could be some market plan or, market pressure that comes to some sort of solution. we want to keep all options open, but we know.
You recall that
Yeah, I remember the
conversation?
properties, and there was a couple maybe concept plans that came through.
Okay.
But that's really, that'll still have to come through that process, you
Yep.
know, but I think depending on what happens around us and when, it's a need that's gonna be growing, to Jay's point.
Yeah.
And so we just have to understand, I think this does give us a flavor for, it gives us more data than we had. Quite frankly, I didn't even know that we could do this type of survey in the city, and so this was a good trial run for us. So if there's, we're not sure, and if there are other priorities, it's like, I think we now have a better system and process to push these out faster. So it's just a growing area to collect data that's maybe an underlying issue.
I think before to build on that, that's a positive outcome of having a communications department.
Right.
And so we didn't previously have that full-time capacity. We would not have the ability to do that, but for the fact that council supported us increasing that capacity in order to develop this type of service.
I think one thing to keep in mind with surveys like this, you're going to preferentially hear from the people who see whatever the topic is as a major issue, versus from those who don't feel it's as important because they won't be as motivated to fill out the survey. Is there a way within that communications expertise to develop a model or way to understand if we get 3% of the city responds to a survey, what does that imply about the whole city, allowing for that bias?
So if I could respond to that, that's part of the reason why we hired professionals for our civic campus, because the calculus of that is so, it requires a professional to do the analysis. We don't have that capacity. As far as this particular survey, we were very intentional about trying to raise awareness of it. So it was mentioned in the quarterly newsletter. It was mentioned in each of the monthly newsletters. We tried to ensure that everybody was aware of it as a topic of conversation. So it wasn't it hit my inbox and I didn't even know what it was about and I dismissed it. And so I do feel like in terms of the feedback, and then when you look at the breakdown of the demographic, it being all across the city, I think that would be demonstrative of achieving our goal. It wasn't just what I thought might happen, just those who are facing this in the developing community neighborhoods.
Then, is there any information or conversation about the compost site in Maple Grove? I hear things that someday it's gonna go away soon. There's no conversation about that now.
Yeah, it's hard to speak for another property owner, another city. I mean, we did go meet with them to understand their process, to help us ask the right questions, and
Cool.
So we did kind of evaluate the options and talk to our neighbors about how they handle it, and that was kind of the basis for why we asked certain questions. So beyond that, we can't speak for what's going to happen with some of those.
And there's been conversation from our residents, well, Maple Grove has one and it's free to Maple Grove residents. Yes, it is. I mean, that's what I say. Otherwise, you're going to have to pay or compost yourself. So this is a lot of good information, a lot of good work, you guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, we'll go on to 8B, which is just a resolution, let me see here, do we have it on here? Resolution 2026-27 to contract with city official. And Jay, do you want to?
I'm trying to bring it up on the screen and it's not cooperating. So, Mayor and Council, what the resolution is it's cleaning up what we were talking about earlier in terms of an initiative. At the direction of Council on January 8th, we'd identify some concerns and we took action to resolve those concerns. I got advice from our city attorney in terms of how to navigate that, because as we were looking at how to solve the problem, we have some council members that have the ability to help us solve that problem. And so how could we legally navigate that in collaborating with their businesses? What this resolution does is we were able to navigate that. This completes the paperwork, so now that we can do the payment. For those who are watching, this was a really great partnership in which for just cost, we were able to work with Timco Construction, but we have to disclose that the mayor is a part owner in that, and that can generate a conflict of interest. But there are exceptions to navigate that conflict of interest,
that is in Minnesota Statute 471.89, specifically as it relates to certain types of, how you do the business. And so sometimes you'd have to go out for bid because the value of this one, it was less than $4,000. It was $3,891.22. So it wasn't a large dollar value, but nonetheless, we still have to do some paperwork to ensure that we are meeting the requirements of the statute. And the resolution is one of those. The mayor can't talk about this since it was his business. He can't discuss it. So this would be for the other 4 members of the council.
Well, I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-27 to enable staff to process that payment.
I'll second.
Motion and second.
Could I make one quick comment?
Yes.
Really quick? I would like to thank everybody who helped get the window secure and in place, because it's been at least 10 years since we've been trying to get this process done, and I think it's a really great feature and safety concerns for our front office people. So thank you for providing that for our city.
Collaboratively internally, it's not obvious to council, we were able to take 3 other initiatives in order to ensure safety of the staff that are working at the front desk. I don't want to talk about those in public, but I think that staff would agree that it's a much better situation and they feel much more comfortable working in that space.
Great.
So this was just one of a multi-step process in order to ensure that staff feel safer.
Okay, we had a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Me,
Dean?
being a supplier, is there issues on me voting on this?
Nope, not the way that it happened.
Okay. And again, if I may, before we take a vote, I want to thank that company that did it, and then my company that made tremendous efforts to reduce the cost so much. We got this way cheaper than anybody else could have done, so I want to compliment the organization that took care of this, and I want to make sure everybody knows and understands that some of the supplies came from my business, so thank you.
All right, thank you. And with that, I will go ahead and call the vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, nay. And I am
No,
abstaining.
you have to, yep.
There was no nay.
I thought he said nay, but I think you were just
said
saying
no,
to
too.
say nay.
Yeah.
No, I said all, if you're voting,
Got you.
if you're opposed, say nay.
So you did abstain.
I did abstain,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, just clarifying.
Are we good, John?
We're good.
All right.
Okay. Awesome, then on to just, I believe, one more item. New business, planning commissioner appointment. Okay, all right, let's see here. So we had six candidates, which was a lot. I think it's the most we've had for a planning or parks commission, at least the most in a long time. Michelle and I and Corinne, Chair Brumman, all met or had phone interviews with all the candidates last week. My weeks are blurring together, but last week.
Monday?
And had some really good discussion, really good candidates. It's a good problem to have. In fact, we ended up calling it for the night and sitting on it for a few days and having a follow-up call to figure out exactly who we wanted to go with. And after a lot of discussion, we decided to nominate Aiden Sherber for the vacancy on the Planning Commission. Again, everyone brought different kind of skill set and background. And Aiden, after a lot of discussion, stood out. And I think be the right fit. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add.
I would just add that we did about a half-an-hour interview with each of the candidates, and we had some wonderful options. I mean, all of them had different aspects that they could bring to the Planning Commission. We tried to zero in on what the needs were of the Planning Commission and what we thought would be not just a good fit, but that would offer some additional growth for the Planning Commission and just different perspectives.
Absolutely. Yeah, any questions on that? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to approve resolution 2026-26.
So moved.
To appoint Aiden Sherman to a planning commission term ending February 28th, 2025. Jeremy's motion. Seconded by Lanterman. Any discussion?
Real quick. One of the applicants is here. I respect Randy an awful lot. The other applicants that were there, please stay engaged.
Please.
There may be more opportunities. There will be more opportunities. Who knows what's happens in this? And
Well, yeah.
I know you are.
There was one on the, earlier, on the
Yep.
consent agenda, item J.
But
So, new
again,
commissioner.
That's true, there is another spot.
we need volunteers in this city, and thank you for all your service and such, Randy, but,
Well said.
your choice was a good one, but I don't think you could have picked
A bad one.
a bad one
No,
out of
I
the
think
whole-
in the conversations we had,
Yep.
we at different points could have gone with 6 different people. Like we had really good arguments for why this person, and then
Yep.
we go on to the next person,
So
and then we're like,
I
okay.
wanna make sure.
So they're all good there, and we had to go back and kind of really pick through and try to find.
And just to
what's the best
recognize,
fit.
Randy's been
Only
here
9 hours.
Yeah,
significant,
it was a long.
significant number of our council meetings and the planning commission meetings and such, so I thank him for his involvement
For
and
sure,
such.
thank you.
For sure, so
Well
that's
said.
all I have to say.
Well said, and yeah, please stay engaged because other vacancies are up now and will always come up. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, it's a way better problem to have too many good qualified people want to do stuff than
Yep.
the opposite problem, so.
Have we voiced to these applicants that we have charter commission vacancies?
I think some know, I don't know if all know.
That's an excellent point. I'm
And
not
then-
sure that that's happened.
And then have we replied to all the other 5s on who was chosen, and
I
thank you
believe
for
we
applying?
Commissioner Brummond is doing that.
Okay,
So we have to wait till tonight.
Yep, so it should be starting the next day or so.
okay.
But I believe we had, is it 5 charter commission vacancies potentially? We resized it, we were
No, it's
considering
2.
changing.
2.
I
We
think
need
it's
2
2 or
right
3.
now.
Yeah, 2.
So, yeah,
That's a
there's
good
that, and there's
suggestion.
Parks and Trails open right now, so.
Charter commission meets once a year?
Yep.
At
Parks
least
and
one.
Trails
Minimum once a year.
Well, that's true.
It'll be twice this year,
And
hopefully.
Parks meets once a month. third
Twice this
Thursday.
year.
We were gonna do a follow-up meeting, remember? Once we got back to quorum
Oh,
to talk about additional changes.
okay. So wait, we had the vote and, the motion in the second, right?
Yep.
Okay, any other discussion on it? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And with that, on to staff reports.
Mayor and council, just a couple things. Yesterday, we had our quarterly staff luncheon. That was fantastic, getting some information out, but also just having some good fellowship in here.
Really good food.
One of the things that happened during that too is we had film crews on site all day yesterday, doing B-roll footage and interviews. So during the survey, it mentioned the video that will be, people will be guided to. It'll be a 90-second video that will include all that. Mayor McKee write a script that will be the backdrop for that, as well as some video. But a lot of B-roll footage around the community. That's the first of the videos that we're putting together in collaboration with Kraus Anderson. That's under their support for our marketing. They've been doing the public engagement. This falls under public engagement. I just want to say thank you for that. The capacity and the insights that they brought to the table has helped us raise the bar in terms of us being able to connect and communicate with the community. So yesterday was a full day of filming, and then today they came back and caught some footage of our police officers having to work in, because it was a training site date today, within their constraints, because we can say it, but it communicates a lot differently when people see what that actually means. For have to pull the car out of the garage and put the mats on the floor in order to do your hand-to-hand training and on the garage floor on mats and that sort of thing. Today, 12 of our staff were able to do AI training. So I did AI certification, if you recall, St. Thomas. We were able to get that instructor from St. Thomas University to come out here and instruct our staff at a significantly reduced rate. And the initial impact is you saw a slide presentation as a result of some of that training today. The hope is that we'll continue to improve with appropriate cautions to become more efficient and effective in how we communicate and deliver our products. One of the byproducts of that training
is you should expect to see in the weeks or months ahead, we need to develop an AI policy so that we're really clear on how and what we do and what our concerns are. And so you should be able to expect that in the future. Lastly, Chief Gottschalk, Mayor McKee, and I were up at the Capitol today to testify on our bill. It looked from looking at the roster that our bill was perhaps the only public safety bill, and so that was distinct. Mayor McKee and Chief Gottschalk are the ones who testified on our behalf, but in reading the room at the committee, the Capital Investment Committee, I saw a lot of really positive nonverbal feedback that made me feel more encouraged than I was as we were driving up to the Capitol. I think the tipping point will really be whether or not a bonding bill is passed this session. But should a bonding bill be passed, I felt pretty encouraged today that we should get something.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think anyone knows that for sure. There was a lot of votes today. I spent the whole day at the Capitol, and a lot of committees that took 2 hours to get to, 5 bills that they voted and split 7-7 on, and nothing passed. So I don't know if anyone knows exactly what's going to pass this year at the legislature, but if anything, probably a bonding bill. And hopefully, I agree. Hopefully, a good shot at that.
And we got one other step update.
One more update. So, Mr. Mayor, City Council, in looking at our plate for the year, we have incredible work to do with the Civic Campus. We are also in the process of our Economic Development Strategic Plan, and Community Development is also working on a Parks Action Plan. Our plate is full, and so with that knowledge, we are recommending that the 2050 Comp Plan initiative really be something that we pursue in 2027. We think that that aligns with staff capacity as well as community capacity with all these different initiatives, because we want to have engagement for all of these. And adding a fourth large ticket item to that doesn't seem practical at this time.
And as Natalie and I talked about it, one of the things that I would add is, as you're watching the legislature, we did have an item today with the Starter Homes Act response. We have another session that will happen later this year. And so with potential legislation changes, Met Council kind of not being firmly grounded on exactly some of the expectations, that's how I'd communicate it. It seems prudent for us to, rather than spend money now, wait and focus that until 2027.
The political reality is, regardless of who wins governor, a lot of those people in that council are, if it's a Republican, likely all of them will be changed. If it's a Democrat, likely most of them will still be changed, whether it's Klobuchar or whoever. So I think it does make a little bit of sense to hold off till we see what policy direction they'd be going, given the new people.
Natalie, what do you need from us? Do you need a motion or just a nod of the head and say, we get it?
Yeah, I just need your blessing and understanding that there have been talks about trying to kick it off later this year, and that's been determined not practical.
I mean, that's fine.
There,
Kendra, in your
you've been
experience-
blessed.
Kendra, in your experience is the 2 years, we still have 2 years to do it,
We're
right?
still ahead of the
Good-
curve.
good enough?
Way ahead of the curve.
Way ahead of the curve doing it next year.
The work with the
I
Economic
absolutely-
Development Plan is a good foundation. We're already doing that work.
Oh, blessed
And
too.
same with the Park Action Plan
Yep.
too. I think it'll help us with some of the more immediate planning that I think all of what we're doing will lead into the comp plan. It's just actually starting the comp plan discussion with the community and trying to actually dive into some of the details from the Met Council. That's just
So
something that should
then
be till next year.
updates to the newsletter, speaking of a new schedule and such, and possibly, you know what I mean? I know people that have been wanting to jump on that and start the discussion and stuff. Just if there's a way you could communicate that out in the newsletter stating that we are, hey, everybody, we aren't delaying it, we are just,
This is the plan, yeah.
this is a plan, we're gonna start the comp plan discussion in 2027.
Yeah.
That's all not
We're keeping
any
an eye
more
out for
than
the
that.
money that's coming from,
I am keeping an eye on that. I just emailed our staff representative at the Met Council, so she said nothing had been finalized quite yet, and I haven't missed anything, because I was worried I'd missed something.
No, I don't think you missed it. I just think
so-
they haven't sent it out, but I think it has been finalized.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's been
I
finalized.
voted on
But
something.
they said there more information would be provided, including like an application, and that hasn't been provided. So, yes. So, all that to say, I am keeping.
Sounds good.
my
If you
eyes
need help,
open
let me
on it,
know. I can
and-
go raise hell down there. Next time I'm down there. More than that.
I don't think we have any other staff updates from.
Okay, anything from council? As Jay kind of mentioned, testified this morning. Matt did a great job. I think I did okay. And then spent the day down at the Capitol as well, so that was an interesting view into the process there. Tried to pitch our bill to as many people as I could, so hopefully that helped.
Did you pick out an office yet?
I've heard I'll be lucky to get a nice cubicle, so.
Yeah,
But, yeah, so other than that, any other council reports?
Try to get this done in 4 minutes. Thanks from the Birchfield School folks. The appreciation luncheon
Yes.
was Saturday. I'll yell out, we need volunteers, they need volunteers. The youngest person there wasn't much younger than me, so they need help for volunteering, so that's all I'll talk
We are
about that.
partnering with the New Horizons Daycare. I got them together.
You got them going, I'm working on a couple other schools too, to maybe adopt cleanup days or go and talk to them and see what's going on, so.
And Three Rivers Park District, we're able to get
Three
Bonnie
Rivers
connected with
talking
them in order
to,
to try and
yeah.
do some activities this summer. So.
Hanover Fire, March 29th, pancake breakfast, be there. West Suburban, pancake breakfast, April 12th, before and after Christmas, be there. Thanks from the Lions.
Did you mean Christmas?
Easter, did I say Christmas? It's been a long day for me, I apologize.
So my
Easter.
question is, are you gonna show up at the pancake breakfast with your Santa suit?
No, I'll be incognito.
I would show
We
up.
really planned it.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thanks for, I'm trying to get this done in
Awesome.
4 minutes, would you leave me alone? Thanks from the Lions on the flags. That's huge. A piece of information there, those new flags will be flying Easter Saturday for the Easter egg hunt, which begins at 10 o'clock. Gates close at 9:50. It is chaos. So if you're going, go early. They may need help setting up and stuff. So that is at the Lions Park. And that's being put on by the Northwest Area JCs, as usual. And then I've asked this a couple of times, I'm gonna ask one more time. I'd really like the northwest corner of Bass Lake Road and Brockton Lane cleaned up. New Horizons, the new building that's going up, the winter has collapsed the weeds, and the silt fence is still there. I've been told it was removed. The developer that developed all those homes has finally taken down all their flags, but there's still a sign up for Cook Lake Highlands Villas and those kind of things up. It'd be nice if that would go away. I've reached out to the realtor and they said that's not theirs, that is the easement, so it's a county easement, but I'm pretty sure the county didn't put the silt fence stakes in the mess that's underneath all of the weeds, so I'm done. Thanks for listening.
Of course.
That was 3 minutes.
Thanks.
Oh, wow.
They're on my calendar.
Well, it's cool.
Okay. Other than that, our
Good
next
food.
meeting is the 9th, with a work session at 5:30. Perfect. And then our next open house is end of the month, right? 28th, of course, when I'm out of town.
Mr. Mayor and Mr. Tobin, I responded, I think, Jay, to your email about going to the Plymouth event in the mayor's place. If you guys have talking points you'd like me to use.
Yeah, I don't know if
when I read the email, it's,
or
I didn't see anything other than the notification.
I'll keep you posted. What day is it?
there was an email that was
I
attached.
forwarded everything I had.
Was attached to yours. There's a point of questions, those kind of things. I'll do my best to answer questions, but then there's a 2-minute summary for the mayor that's there.
If you want to give me a call ahead of it, and we can
Deal.
brainstorm.
Okay. highlighting what's happened this last year, my highlights would be the water tower, the water treatment. and our-
It might be really easy, we put together a script for the I-94 West Chamber
Yeah,
event.
definitely.
We wouldn't need all of it, but you could definitely extract from that.
Yeah.
Let me know, I can pull stuff
Want to send that
and
to him
and talk
back to
smartly
me.
for our
I'll send that
city.
to you and you can use that as a starting point and then give me a call, we'll brainstorm from there.
Sounds good. Thank you. Yep.
Other than that, anything else?
Yes, one more. I already asked, I'm sorry, I still got a couple minutes. I asked Jay to tell the mayor with everything that could happen this next year, I'd really like to know what the mayor is doing besides being a mayor of our city. Other things he's doing, those kind of things, I think us as a council should burden some of those events and those kind of things. And I think I talked to you or had that conversation with you on Saturday too, Mr. Mayor, of what all are you doing? What are some things we could be doing?
I appreciate it.
I know with the planning commission, I still go to them, even though we stopped sending a liaison to planning or planning parks and those kind of things. But I think there's more things that we could do to get involved and take some of the stuff off your plate,
I
even if you
appreciate
maybe stay mayor. So
I appreciate
that's what I'm
that.
thinking.
I'll keep you posted. Some of the trickiness of it is it's not necessarily like a scheduled
I understand.
craziness,
but-
it's just kind of craziness. But I really appreciate that. I'll keep you guys posted.
Appreciate what you do, sir.
Thank you. Likewise. Alrighty. With that,
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
you get to pick. Say
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. You're adjourned.